In life, we all encounter obstacles, and those obstacles come in all different shapes, sizes, and forms. The question is, how do we handle those obstacles? Do we attack them head on, or do we allow them to make us quit? Welcome to the No Quit Living podcast, where we aim to motivate and inspire listeners to never give up on themselves, their dreams, or their goals. We will interview successful people from all walks of life as they share their no-quit stories when they had the choice to give up or give in, but they didn't. We thank you for listening, and we hope to be that jolt of positivity as you go for your greatness. Welcome to episode number 242 of the No Quit Living podcast. I'm your host, Christopher J. Worth, and today's theme of the day is What's Next? Our quote of the day comes to us from Sarah Polly. I'm never sure what's coming next, but I'm an open-minded person, and I welcome any challenge. Today's episode is sponsored by the good people over at West Fair Communications, who publish the Westchester County Business Journal and the Fairfield County Business Journal. These newspapers do a wonderful job in covering all aspects of the business world within two of the most influential markets in the New York metropolitan area. You can also take advantage of their daily news feeds, which keep track on the companies and thought leaders in these important regions. For more information, take a look at www.westfaironline.com. Trust me, once you start reading, you won't quit. I'm excited to bring you today's episode as I had a lot of fun speaking to our guest. From the major leagues, being sent down to the minors, and then winning a World Series, today Brett Myers is building and growing his music career. I hope you enjoy listening to today's episode as much as I had conducting it. Brett, I'd like to welcome you to the No Quit Living podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. So the first question I ask everybody is, are you ready to bring it today?
When am I not ready to bring it?
I knew that was coming. So, as you know, the number one objective of our show is to motivate and inspire listeners to never give up. And I was curious if you yourself have either a no-quit story or perhaps a really challenging time that tested you and you could have given up or given in, but you didn't.
Absolutely. I played professional baseball for 15 years, 12 years in the big leagues. And in 2008, the year we won the World Series, I was actually sent down to the minor leagues, and I wasn't pitching well. I was really getting my butt kicked bad, and I had like almost a 6 ERA, and I just didn't know what to do. I was trying everything, and I asked them to put me in the bullpen so I could try to figure some things out. Well, their objective was to put me in the minor leagues, and and I did not have to go. I had 5 years in the big leagues at the time, and the rule is if you have 5 years, you don't have to accept that because you're out of options basically. And so I basically ate some humble pie and said, you know what, this is what's best for the team. I need to go down and work on my craft to try to see if I can't get back here to help the team. And I'm going to tell you, man, that was a tough time for me because you'd had all this success and everything, and then you finally hit rock bottom and did not know how to climb out of it. But luckily, I had some good coaching and good family behind me to talk me through it and to help me understand that, hey, this is probably good for you to take your mind off some things and, get back to it and get back to being you. And basically, they called me back up and after a month after the All-Star break. And I went on to win a World Series and help the team as best as possible. But at that point in time, that whole first half of that season, man, I just did not know what to do. I tried everything. And, I was strong-willed enough to be able to come out of it.
I think that's really important that you touched on a couple things, is who you had in your corner, family, good coaching. But I think the last thing you said is probably somewhat the most important, is the strong will. And I've never been a professional pitcher myself, so I'm never going to say I know what you're going through, but going from playing in the majors to the minors is probably a difficult thing. But I think it's ironic that it was the same year that you happened to come back and win the World Series. I think that's an awesome story.
That's what made it so much better, is that, I the second half of the season, I had like a 1-something ERA, and it was crazy because I just had a clear mind. And I had a plan when I went out there. There wasn't the stress, I'm like, how much worse could it get? Because it was already that bad, the first part of the season. I thought to myself, like, how much worse could it get? What do I have to lose? And I can tell you, baseball is a game of failure. If you don't learn how to fail, you'll never succeed. So that was one of the things that pushed me too, and I had a lifelong dream of being a professional baseball player, and I did not want 5 years playing 5 years and then it'd be over. So in my mind, I was going, I gotta work my tail off just to try to get out of this hole somehow.
That's awesome, and I think you obviously went ahead and did it, and the second comeback in the season, in essence of again pitching in ERA in the ones, I think is remarkable. So wanted to just ask you what you're doing today, because I think it's kind of cool what you're doing today post baseball career.
Yeah, it's I got done playing. Actually, I've always been very interested in playing guitar, and since I was a little kid, and I really knew probably when I got called to the big leagues in 2002, I knew, a couple chords. And Kevin Camasholi, our video coordinator with the Phillies at the time, was actually a guitar teacher before he took the job with the Phillies, and as the video coordinator. And it was pretty cool to just sit around and watch him and talk to him about guitar. So then I started asking him to start teaching me. So for like 8 or 9 years, he would teach me certain little tricks to play on guitar. So I've always wanted to play guitar and be a guitar player. Well, that venture kind of took a turn a little bit because I love music and everything. And in 2013, I started wanting to write my own songs and stuff like that. And then I got in touch with an old high school buddy of mine who played in Puddle of Mud, and he's now a producer. And I said, I got some ideas for some songs. And we started writing songs, and he's like, get in there and sing them. I'm like, absolutely not. I'm like, no chance, buddy. I'm not doing that. I don't even sing in the shower, And so he's like, get in there and sing it. Well, we wrote this one song we did called Beer Hand Strong. And I thought it was a pretty clever song. And then, he's like, get in there and sing it after we wrote it. And I said, that's not happening, buddy. I'm not doing it. So probably 2 weeks went by, and he's like, man, you got to come sing this song. I said, I'm not ready. So probably 2 weeks went by, and he gives me a call. He's like, hey, man, I'm having a couple people over. I want you to meet them and stuff like that. Let's have some beers and stuff like that. Well, he tricked me because he threw a couple beers in me and stuff like that. And he's like, come on, let's go to the studio and hang out, whatever like that. And next thing you know, I'm in there singing the song. So I was like, wow. I was like, I can't believe I'm doing this. And so it was cool. And then he's like, and he kept telling me, once again, having a good coach or a good friend or family, pushing you to do something because that you don't think that you could do. And he pushed me because he was basically my voice coach as well, helping me with my pitch and my tone and where he wanted my range to be. And so that it was kind of one of those things where I didn't know what I was doing, but I was doing it well enough to where he was excited about it. So I just said, okay, let's keep doing it. And ended up with a full album. And since then, we have done several shows. And I've put out 3 albums since then. So we actually have 4 albums out. I've been doing it for about 5-6 years now. And it's one of the coolest things, man. I never thought, and I don't mean to cut you off there. It's your show. You're the boss. But the actual playing live, I never wanted to do that either, just to let you know. So, the never quit thing or whatever, I just had people push me to do stuff. And if I put my mind to it, I feel like I can do anything. That's just my train of thought. I don't know why, but that's just the way I was bred, I guess. And, but going into playing a live show, he said, we should take this stuff and play it live out. And I obviously told him no. And then he kept pushing me about it, and I told him no. And then I said, okay, fine, dude, I'll make a bet. If we play an arena, like a big arena where all these big, huge names, I'm just starting out. I'm just trying to get my name out there, obviously. But these big names play these arenas. And I said, I'll do it if we play an arena. Well, I stuck my foot in my mouth because 3 months later, the Jacksonville Sharks, here, Arena Football League here in town, asked me to play a halftime show. So I was like, oh, no. I'm like, oh, no, I got it. I got to be a man of his word, So I'm like, I got to do it. And I am freaking out. Luckily, they gave me like 3-4 months to prepare, and just try to, because once you write these songs and stuff, it's not like you sit there and listen to them over and over again because you've heard them 1,000 times and you don't want to listen to them anymore. And you don't really care what the words are. You're like, oh, yeah, that was great. Sang it, done. But so then you have to go back and revisit these songs and try to remember exactly what you were singing and what the song's about, and you have to believe what you wrote, which at the time you believe what you wrote, but trying to sing it again is just crazy. So ended up playing that arena, and that was something pretty cool. And then it gave me the bug. I had the bug after that, and I'm just like, I'm going to play live everywhere. It's not that hard. It's not that it wasn't that hard. It was just that same adrenaline rush that I got when I was playing ball came back. And that's what I was kind of searching for in my off season or basically in my retirement.
So I got to ask you, what is a higher adrenaline rush, or what is more exciting, playing live music in front of someone or pitching in the World Series or pitching in major leagues?
Okay, well, I will tell you this, all right? So as playing baseball since I was 4 or 5 years old and playing in front of crowds and stuff all year and everything, okay? Yes, when I first got to the big leagues, I was like, oh, my God. Look at all these people. And even the World Series, like in playoffs, the adrenaline and stuff that you have, right? It just happened a little bit. It hasn't happened as big of stage yet for my music. But playing in front of people and the adrenaline rush is, I can never say it's as big as playing in the World Series. But I have guys in the band that played in Puddle of Mud and Shinedown. So they've seen 40,000 people to play music in front of. And so we kind of have somewhat in common. They just did it in a different profession. So like trying to talk about our experience and stuff, it's like the exact same. It's the exact same, except I'm putting them back in the minor leagues because they played in big shows and big bands. Now they have to start all over again, which I think I'm starting all over again too, but it's just a different profession.
No, that's awesome. And I want to just touch on one thing you said. I'm intrigued by, if you wouldn't mind just elaborating for a second, is when you were sent down to the minors, you talked about it, and then you also talked about it prior when your friend was encouraging you, is the importance of having those people in your corner, what I call in your corner, on your tribe or on your bus.
Right.
If you wouldn't mind just touching on some of the people, or more so the importance of those people that really believed in you and also helped positively push you along the way.
Well, for one, my dad was really behind me with everything that I've done, and he was always there to put a foot in my ass if I got out of line. And so he said, whatever you got to do, man, do what you got to do. And he was always team first and everything like that. And that's kind of like how our family was, because we were a team as a family, and so he would always push me and push my brother and stuff like that. And they would always stay behind me. My mom, my whole family, my brother and everything were all supportive and everything. My wife, my kids, if they even knew what the heck was going on at the time. But they were all behind me and just kind of pushing me and just saying, yeah, everything's going to be fine. It's not that bad. And I'm thinking it's the end of the world because I'm going back to the minors, which nobody wants to be in the minor leagues. You play minor leagues to get to the big leagues, So, and then I had a coach at the time that I really, really trusted. I had him in A-ball, and he was actually the pitching coach in AAA at the time where they sent me. And I talked to my agent too, and they were all just saying, hey, just go do it, get through it, get your stuff back on track, make it about you and make it about yourself and figure out what you need to do to get back on track, and then come back and dominate. And that's all they told me. And I had that in my mind, and I was pitching so relaxed, and Dickie Knowles was a big part of all that too. I was pitching so relaxed that I didn't even know what was really going on in the game or what the scores were or anything like that. I think the first part of the year, I was so stressed and worried about giving my team a chance to win that I forgot about what I needed to do on the mound was to actually give my team a chance to win. So it was like two different aspects of everything, where the first part of the season, I'm stressed out. Second part of the season, I'm nice, calm, cool, collective, and just trying to do my job, because I told myself, hey, it can't get any worse than the way it already was. So there's no reason to quit on it.
That's awesome. One of the things we ask and we touch on is, if you had to define yourself, but you could only use one word, what word would you choose?
Oh, man. I'm 100% sure I've never been asked that, for one.
Yes.
I don't know. A lot of shoot, man. I don't know. Maybe antsy. I don't know. I guess, I'm always wanting to get stuff done. My mind's always working, always trying to think of ways to to get things done and stuff like that, and I could never sit still. So maybe ADD works.
I can say out of over almost 300 interviews, those are the first times we've had antsy or maybe ADD. So I think that's awesome. But one of the questions we also touch on is the word success, and I'm curious as what you're doing now in your professional music career, but also as a former professional major league player. What does success mean to you, or how do you personally define success?
Well, first off, I will never forget where I came from. So, obviously, in being successful in certain things, I honestly never thought I was successful. Yes, I'm working towards that still, in my opinion. I'm still working towards success, and I'm never satisfied, I guess I would say. Like my baseball career and stuff like that, I wish I could have pitched better certain games. I wish I could have won more games. I wish I could have had a better ERA. Just certain things that just did not happen. And same with the music. Like each show is making us better and better, but I'm trying to go as far as I can with this and let the fans decide whether or not that I'm successful or not And I think that's kind of like the thing for me, is that I'm never satisfied with any success or anything like that. I just want to keep pushing and keep going forward.
I think that's awesome, and I love that question, and the reason we ask it is because there is no right or wrong answer, and for everybody that's been on the show, it's always something different. It's always something that means something to them, and I think it's an awesome question. One of the things we touch on, and I'm curious to get your perspective on this as well, is the importance of either a morning ritual or routine, and I was curious if you have or had a morning routine that you swear by.
Well, now it's changed, obviously. I did have a routine when I played. The days that I pitched, it was kind of crazy because the story behind it was I was not pitching real great in Double-A, and I went to an all-star gala. I was on the Futures team or whatever that plays before the all-star game and stuff like that, and I saw Roger Clemens, and I met him, and I didn't say that I was struggling pitching wise or anything like that. I was still trying to figure out what type of pitcher I was at the time. I was in Double-A. I was 20 years old, so I didn't really have a clue. But when I saw him, the advice he gave me was eat some pasta before you pitch, or if you can't get some pasta, go to Burger King and get a Whopper with cheese. and I was like, okay. So I was 20 years old. All right, I played another 13 years after that, 14 years after that. And every time before I pitched the day of, I ate either a Whopper with cheese or a hamburger with cheese every single time. Even
2008 in the World Series?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I did it the whole time. I never changed that from then on, because growing up, Roger Clemens was one of my idols. So if Roger Clemens did it, you darn right I was going to do it. But nowadays my routine's changed a little bit. Now I get up, take the kids to school, grab an energy drink at the store, come back home, figure out what I'm gonna do with my day.
That is awesome. I wish I'd known that when you were playing. That's awesome. Being as I said before, being a Mets fan, would have tried to maybe poison some of the pasta.
You keep
or
saying
give
that
you
word. You keep saying that word. You keep saying the M word. You're not allowed to say that. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, we won't say it anymore. So
I'm just kidding. It's okay.
It's not okay for me. It's been a long time.
Okay.
So
don't claim you're a Mets fan anymore. That's what you're getting at?
Yeah, it's becoming less and less and less. And soon I'm just going to say, I just root for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Find an American League team to pull.
Except not the other New York team, because everybody loves it.
I don't like them either because everybody loves them. Same reason I don't like the Cowboys, because everybody loves them.
I'm a New York Giants fan, so I don't like the Cowboys either. So we have something else in common.
All right, so we're working towards being 50-50 now.
Awesome. So assuming you could go back to the 20-year-old version of yourself and give yourself one piece of advice, what would you like to have given the 20-year-old version of yourself?
A slap in the back of the head. I mean, seriously, like there's so much I learned and everything, but I was a brash kid. I still got a little bit of crazy in me. Well, a lot of crazy, but I think that's what makes me who I am. Just I like having fun and stuff like that. But just I wish I wasn't so stubborn. It's kind of like towards the end of my career and everything. I was like, man, if I had the arm I had when I was 20, I'd be a Cy Young Award winner. As a 30 30-year-old or a 33-year-old pitching in the big leagues. If I knew what I knew at 33 years old when I was 20, there's no doubt I'd have been a Cy Young. No doubt. But, I was trying to learn as who I was and what type of pitcher I was. It's difficult when you go from, with pitchers throwing 95 to 98 and just mowing people down in high school to getting thrown in the minors where everybody can hit that. I'll never forget, Will Clark told me, he goes, "How hard do you throw, boy?" This was when I got drafted. This is the first time I ever met Will Clark. "How hard do you throw, boy?" And I said, 98. He goes, "I don't give a damn. I can time a jet airplane." and I went, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir." He said, it's Will Clark, man. But in my mind, like growing up, I'd watch Greg Maddux pitch, and he's throwing 88 miles an hour, and I'm like, I can pitch in the big leagues. This guy's throwing poo. That's 88. I threw 10 miles an hour harder than him, and I did not understand. It wasn't about how hard you threw. It was about where you threw it and what kind of movement you had. So I learned that later in my career when my velocity decreased.
Now I got to tell you, but Will Clark is my all-time favorite baseball player. So
stop sucking up. That's 2 for 3 now.
No, I'm definitely. I think I have still in my parents' basement somewhere 300 or 400 of Will Clark's cards.
You want my Will Clark story? Because I loved him too. Because my dad's from Mississippi and he went to Mississippi State. So, funny story. The same time Will Clark told me that when I got drafted and I was in Philly, the vet had turf at the time. The Fanatic had his 4-wheeler out there and everything. And somehow his keys disappeared, and the game was delayed because the 4-wheeler was stuck on the field and they couldn't find the keys. Will Clark took them and blamed me and said that I took them. I was in the Philly suite trying to watch the game. They're calling up there, yelling at me, telling me to give them the keys to the 4-wheeler, and I'm like, I don't have them. Like, what are you talking about? So Will Clark played a prank on me, and I lost.
That is awesome, and I think
he started me out on a good foot with the Phillies. Just to let you know, not at all, because they still to this day think I took them keys.
I'm gonna call the Phillies organization, tell them that you confessed to me.
No, I didn't do it. I promise. Believe me, I've told them that several times that I didn't do it.
So interesting question. If I had the opportunity to offer you dinner with anybody, dead or alive, who would you pick?
Woo, that's a tough one. I've met most of my idols. I don't know, man. I see my idols I'm usually intimidated by, I know. Ronnie Van Zant. How about that? You don't know who that is?
I do not. I know Stevie
You're
Van
fired.
Zant. I know
You're
Stevie
fired.
Stevie Van Zant.
Leonard Skinner, lead singer. Ronnie Van Zant.
Okay. All right. Well, if I could do that, and if I can do it, I'll make it happen.
Well, I'm more pissed off that now you're 2 for 4. You don't even know who Ronnie Van Zant is. Leonard Skinner.
Yeah, but if I was a hitter, I'd be hitting 500. That's pretty good.
Who said you were hitting?
Well, pitching?
I don't know. I don't know.
All right, so we're going to change lanes here to what I call the hot seat questions, and the only request we have is that you spit out the first thing that comes to mind.
Nope, you don't want that, but okay.
All right, here we go. If you could have one last meal and you could choose absolutely anything, what would you choose?
Man, that's wow. Nothing really came to mind. Pizza. Yeah, I love pizza.
Favorite sport?
I mean, that's really.
I mean, hey.
Right now, I would say golf, but watching. I love watching football.
Okay. Who's your football team?
Jags and Eagles. Yeah. I know.
All right, but now we're 2 for 5.
Yeah, I have to be an Eagles fan, or I'll get stabbed.
All right, all-time favorite team.
Ooh, man. Wow. Well, all right. Can I pick 2?
You can.
All right, Cubs and Braves, and kind of forcibly the Reds. That was kind of 3 because my grandmother made me watch the Reds, but I didn't care. But every time I got home from school, I watched the Cubs play on WGN, and then before I went to bed, I watched the Braves play. All-time
favorite movie.
Oh, Major League.
Nice.
That is a classic. It gives me chills when I say that, too, by the way.
Do you have an all-time favorite quote?
Ooh, quote. Yeah, I'd say this to my kids: swing hard in case you hit it.
That's awesome. Do you have a favorite book?
I don't like reading, but the only book I've ever read front to back was the Iliad.
Okay. Favorite group, singer, or band?
Oh, come on. Leonard Skinner, man.
All right.
I'm from Jacksonville. They're from Jacksonville. You got to love them.
If you were stuck in a foxhole, you could only have one person to have your back. Who would you pick?
John Wayne.
I like that. I've asked this question a lot of times, and you're the first person.
The first thing that popped in my head, though. You said the first one that popped in my head. That's the only thing I could think of.
I appreciate your honesty.
Maybe Clint Eastwood. I don't know. Somebody that knows how to twiddle. Josie Wales. That's who I want.
I'd pick MacGyver.
Josie Wales, dude, because I'm telling you, he could shoot and kill anything you could eat for months.
All right, so I wanted to ask you, what's the best way for our listeners to either connect, follow you, and also are you active on social media for those that would like to follow you there as well?
Yeah, on Instagram, it's Brett Myers Music 39. I have a Facebook page with Brett Myers Music, and on Twitter, it is Backwood Rebel 39. Awesome. Yeah, I didn't really think that one through at all.
And then last question I want to ask you, if you have any parting words you'd like to leave with our listeners.
Yeah, just, follow your dreams, man. I never thought that I would end up after playing baseball doing music and putting out 4 albums. Like I was sitting there talking with some of my bandmates and stuff like that. My new team, I guess you could say, that I never thought we would have came this far. It started out with one song, and then we put out an EP with 5, and then next thing you know, we put out a full album with 11 songs, and people were digging it. And I've met some of my influences and some of the music that I listen to just being from playing sports, but now I'm like trying to get accepted with them, and they are starting to accept me and starting to take me serious with what we're doing and what we're putting on stage. So. And the other thing is that don't let anybody ever tell you what you can and can't do. If you feel it and you have the passion to do it, then you go do it. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't. Because I've had times where I've had my 13-year-old all-star team. I'll never forget. This kid was the worst player on the team. Never played. I saw him in 2005 walk up to me in Cincinnati on the big league field, wearing glasses and a suit and tie, and I thought he worked in the front office, and he was their first-round draft pick at a Princeton University, and he was a terrible baseball player at 13 years old. And I chills right now, and I tell kids that day, don't you let anybody tell you that you're never good enough.
That's awesome advice, and I wanted to just say thank you for the time, for being on the show. I appreciate it, even though you have some sketchy team choices. I truly.
You knew all this coming into it now, all right? And you still put me on the show, so maybe we're 3 for 6 now. I don't know.
Well, we were 2 for 5 before, so 3 for 6 is better.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you what. If the Giants win and I have $50 on them, then I guess I can pull for them.
Hey, that is good stuff, and I really appreciate it. And hopefully we can connect again soon.
Absolutely, I appreciate you.
Thank you for listening to episode number 242. Brett Myers is quite an interesting gentleman. He shared how no major league player ever wants to be sent down to the majors, but at that point in his career, he ended up eating some humble pie. Ultimately, he turned that into a positive and came back to the majors and won a World Series with the Philadelphia Phillies. Brett shared some fun stories with us from his Major League Baseball career, and it's clear that today he's working very hard to succeed after baseball with music. In his parting words, Brett shared the importance of both following your dreams and not letting anyone tell you what you can or can't do. So as you go for your greatness today, follow your own dreams. I'm sure at some point in your life, someone, if not multiple people, have told you what you can or can't do. I challenge you to keep going. Even if and when things get hard or you seem to falter, don't ever give up on yourself, your goals, or your dreams. And lastly, to our listeners, thank you. We truly appreciate your time, and we hope our episodes inspire you to keep on attacking life and never giving up. To quote Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, it's always too early to quit.